Welcome. I am Toku. Let me refresh it. I am Tokusatsu Shogun, and this is Tokusatsu Action Thursday Night Titans, episode number 8. And as always, joining me, we have one half of the co-host in Kamen Rider Geek.
Yo.
And we have a special guest tonight in Anthony Jordan, Movies and Gaming. Mr. Anthony Jordan, please introduce yourself, who you are, and what kind of stuff you do.
I'm Anthony. I'm a general film fan. My channel, I discuss movies, and although I have some preferences, I like to do a large variety. I'm re-reviewing all the Godzilla movies, and every October I do Montober, which is my horror movie month. Plus, I do the occasional game video, but I love science fiction, action, western, horror, tokusatsu, a little bit of everything, and I like to talk about all of it.
I'll go let him know you're waiting for him.
And we have Mr. Kamen Rider Geek, who, just in one word to describe, he loves Kamen Rider. And on episode number 8, we started this channel with the goal of first covering Big G himself, Godzilla. So,
The king.
This is movie episode number 8. We are covering Mothra versus Godzilla from 1964. Oh, and those are really cool. If I knew how to do the full screen, I would. Show you on it.
Just want to say I love the hat, Anthony.
Thanks. It was a funny find. I got it at a clothing pantry for free, and when I looked the company up when I got home, this was like a $300-400 hat.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to start out with when did you first watch Mothra versus Godzilla for the first ever time? And I'm going to start with Kamen Rider Geek.
I was probably like 10, 12 years old. Between 10 and 12 years old. I was pretty young. It might have been a sci-fi marathon or one of the rare times A&E had like kaiju movies, if they ever did it. This was like almost over 30 years ago, so forgive me if my memory's a little spotty.
No, you're good. And Anthony Jordan, I'll pass it to you, then I'll talk about mine.
I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I actually then didn't like it because Godzilla lost to Mothra, but now it's like in my top 4 favorite Godzilla movies now that I'm older and a lot smarter.
So my first experience, I don't know if you guys can see this in clear picture or not. So my first experience, I was about, let's say, 8 years old or so. And back then, my uncle, who got me into Godzilla and stuff, he would record he would use a recordable VHS player, and he would record on snip. He would record the fights. So, this is one of the earliest Godzilla fights I can remember in Mothra versus Godzilla. And we'll get into the fight because I think it's really impressive, this fight.
It was good puppet work.
And so, I don't know if you can see right where my hand is it would have time, like a movie on it would. And this is how I also got introduced to King Kong this way. There would be a time stamp, like the movie title would be on it. Then it would have the it would have the year, the movie title, and then it would be the fights. So, like, let's say, for example, one DVD. I used to have these. I don't have them anymore. I looked. But one would have, like, for example, one would have Jason and the Argonauts. It would have one of the Sinbad movies, I think, and another movie, which was, I think, featured in the intro, is the I can't remember the monster name that was the one that was showing, but that one. Also, when it had Godzilla, it had snippets of the story and stuff. So it would have the Emperor character, whatever, the guy on Mothra Island, and then it would also show the other stuff, like the girls, and then the fight stuff. It was really cool back in the time. That's also how I got into Godzilla, and it's what interested me and intrigued me enough as a young 8-year-old to watch it. Pop it in a VHS player and check it out, and it really was impressive at the time. It really inspired me to check out other Toku stuff like Godzilla. I mean, it was about, and I'll go into detail on other stuff later in future episodes with the Sentai and Rider and all that stuff. But that's kind of how I got introduced to Godzilla and stuff. It was really cool. So, uh, who wants to start with the story? Do you want to start with the story, Anthony?
Yeah, well, I can't really start with it without talking about like the opening credits and that like awesome piece of music playing during the typhoon. Like, I always like associated that music not just with Godzilla, but with a force of nature like a hurricane, an earthquake, or a tornado. And after actually experiencing a hurricane last year, I gotta say it's even more so. That music does capture the power, sense of awe, and terror that a natural disaster can cause.
Damn.
The movie the movie begins with the aftermath of the typhoon. There's a village flooded. They're like starting to pump out water, and you have some reporters getting photos. There's also this giant egg that washes up. And like one of the reporters, she notices this strange looking thing she takes a picture of. We have this businessman who buys the egg from the visitors, and he's like very just rude and arrogant. He agrees to take a picture, but then he like blows his cigarette smoke in the lens of the camera, and we get another nice scene where we have a nice dynamic with everyone that works for this newspaper company, where you have the editor, you have the reporter, you have the girl who's the photographer, then you have the kind of common relief guy who's always eating an egg. And we also established a crooked businessman pretty quick, which there's kind of a I stab them in the back, then you stab them in the back, then I'm gonna stab you in the back relationship, where it keeps getting worse for the middleman and the people in the village, but it's only the guy at the top that truly benefits from it.
Are you telling me the guy with the Hitler mustache is a bad guy?
Yeah.
You jest.
But we got a pretty good setup and like no trace of Godzilla. Not that but he will show up very soon, and probably his most memorable appearance in the series because it's so unexpected. But that's our beginning and our setup.
Do you want to geek? We'll pass it to you, and then I'll go continue like from where Anthony about like the story and stuff.
I didn't know I was gonna have to do. Okay, just a moment. Let me get my notes here.
You're good.
Am I though? Okay, let's see. So let's see. We got to the point where we met the asshole. God, we just watched this movie last week. Why is my brain farting so hard? Wait. Oh God, these are the wrong notes. I have it on computer. For some reason, it pulled up Godzilla versus Mothra, the newer version from the 90s.
No plan survives contact with the enemy.
Unfortunately, the enemy is me.
I bet I'll find it in a second.
Since I'm disorganized, do you want to take it from here while I get my stuff organized?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. It happens. Nobody's perfect with these shows. Nobody. Hold on a second. And I'll get it.
Next, it would probably be where the two businessmen are talking, and the Shobijin show up and try to get them to return the egg, and the businessmen try to capture them. Then they go to the newspaper people and they start writing the articles, but it really doesn't help. And they explain, the egg hatches, Mothra will...
Hold on, Anthony. Sorry, I found it. You're talking about where they first meet him, right?
Yeah.
The Shobijin. So, we're happy sitting around the egg. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's after they set up the incubator and whatnot.
So they are visited by the tiny twin Shobijin, who are fairies. They attempt... sorry, am I saying this right? They attempted to convince them to return the egg. Is that the right part you're talking about?
But they wouldn't do it, and they tried to kidnap the fairies.
But yeah, they try to attempt to convince them to return the egg. They have to escape when the businessmen try to capture them, which I think is interesting for a movie like this. They're trying to return the egg back to its place, in a sense. Speaking of the egg, I like this picture of... You get a good detail of the egg and Mothra.
But
the Shobijin, they run into Sakai, Junko, and Miura, and they reveal to them that the egg belongs to Mothra, this huge, colossal moth god. And I really, really, really geek out with Mothra. So this is my first time in a long time watching this amazing creature. I love Mothra. The design of this character is so cool. It's like, why couldn't we have had a movie earlier in King Kong versus Godzilla or something? This would have made a lot of cool movies and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this movie. It's
I mean, if you think about it, when they introduced Mothra, compared to every other kaiju you can think of, Mothra is the only kaiju to survive the end of his movie. Godzilla dies. Rodan, both of them dead. Every kaiju that in a standalone movie, they usually end up getting killed. Mothra flies off happy into the sunset.
And Mothra is also one of the rare examples of a kaiju that's not openly hostile towards humanity. Like,
yeah,
if you kidnap the fairies, Mothra's going to wreck your city to get them back. But if you don't,
Mothra, we got a
but
picture of him on screen.
if you give the fairies back, she'll leave.
and if you don't pose a threat to the fairies or anyone on Infant Island, Mothra could care less about you.
Yeah,
Mothra's
just happy to vibe.
Back to the movie and stuff. The typhoon washed Mothra up on Japanese waters. It's interesting. I don't think we see that in the beginning, but at least they tell it in the
see it in a flashback. Fairies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They kind of tell it in the flashback, the outcome of stuff. And destruction will follow when the larva emerges. I didn't get a picture of the larva, but they're interesting. What the larva, when it hatches, we'll get into that in the review and stuff.
By the way, since you brought up the storm again, you know how they made those wave effects for the water?
No.
They had the big water tank they shot in, and they would basically, for the wind and stuff, there would be these huge wind machines, but they had people with like big, like 55-gallon, I believe, bucket things of water, and they'd actually dump those into the water, and the force of that water hitting the water, it would create the waves in combination with the wind machines.
Interesting. Did you know that, Geek?
No, I didn't. Most of my prep work for this episode was stuff about the actors.
Okay.
Like the actor who played Kumiyama, the guy with the Hitler stash. He's actually been in a lot of Godzilla kaiju movies. He was in Rodan. He was in Veron the Unbelievable. He was in the original Mothra. He was in Godzilla versus King Kong. Mothra versus Godzilla, which he's most famous for. He was in Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Frankenstein versus Baragon. Invasion of the Astro Monster, War of the Gargantuas, King Kong Escape, and I could keep going on. He's been in a lot of kaiju and Godzilla movies.
Mm-hmm. And that's really cool and interesting. I didn't know about that stuff.
His name was Yoshifumi Tajima. Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah.
I like how the trio agree to help after the flashback. The trio agree to help them retrieve the egg, and they try to plead with Kumiyama and Torahata, but are met with resistance. The Shobijin eventually return home to Infant Island without the egg. So that's kind of upsetting for them at that point. It's like, no egg. It's like, do you have your notes up for the...
You mean for the Sojijin? They were played by identical twins who were called the Peanuts. They were twin sisters Emi and Yumi Ito.
They were pop singers.
Yeah, basically.
Interesting.
Another interesting fact in the original script, it wasn't Mothra's egg, but Godzilla's body that washed ashore.
I think I focused on the wrong stuff for this stream.
You're good. You can get it back on track next time.
That's the good part about having a panel is everyone brings something different.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
You talk about the interesting facts, I talk about the interesting people.
Yeah. I was going to say, later that night, Sakai writes articles about Happy Enterprises insensitivity towards the Shobijin. However, the firm dismisses the article as a slander and opens the Happy Center to the public. I just imagine like a pharmacy or something where a freedom center or something where everybody is like happy and it can be when they say the name Happy Center, but I don't know exactly the right terminology if that's what they're actually getting at when I say that. So Kumiyama, he's confronted by the villagers for not paying in full for the egg and renting from their land. Torihata agrees to loan Kumiyama additional funds in exchange for putting the egg up as collateral. Kumiyama reluctantly accepts and begins incubating the egg. There's a lot of details here. I might skip some if, because this is a big movie. Mariah, or Mariah, I don't know how you say that. M-I-U, Miura?
Miura.
Yeah. Miura decontaminates Sakai and Junko after touching the object they found in the wreckage. And I forgot to mention, we should have said this at the beginning about this. They find an object in the wreckage of the Storm. Forgot to mention that.
I kind of touched up on it.
Yeah, I know, but
if you look, it's kind of the same color as Godzilla's spines.
I didn't think about that till you said that. I didn't even think about that, Anthony, till you said that. Now it's kind of clicking what you're saying, that the spine color is that, which is like Godzilla's color. That's really cool. I like how the egg is radioactive. So
the egg wasn't, because remember they tested where Mothra, the adult Mothra, was, and there was no radiation.
Yeah.
So
Godzilla's radioactive, but Mothra is explicitly not.
And he's in the area right now, so that's where the radiation's coming from.
Yeah.
The trio return to Kurata Beach to investigate further. Godzilla emerges from this big buried mud. It's like Godzilla to me is camouflaged or something in this scene, or this.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It was like he was asleep and the storm buried him. Well, washed him ashore and buried him.
And that's really cool, and I like that part about it. It's citizens are running for their lives as Yokoichi and Nagoya in the JSDF, the Japan Self-Defense Forces, are leading. Their goal is to lead Godzilla to the coast to minimize casualties. You want to take the story along, Anthony?
Oh, we have Godzilla just wakes up, and like I initially like in this one, the way you see a lot of the destruction with Godzilla, it treats him more like a force of nature, where his very presence causes destruction rather than him actively going out and destroying it. His tail gets caught in the tower, then he trips and falls into a building, and it just builds from there. Godzilla's on the loose in their sunken. This is another thing I love about this film, is this is the one that showed and established how strong and indestructible Godzilla really was, because the military hits him harder and more frequently in this movie than they have in any other movie. And with that Godzilla music playing, it just amplifies the spectacle of what he is. And
sorry, continue. I'll finish when you're done. Sorry.
And we have like the reporters, like one of them, the guy with the egg, he's the one that suggests we should ask Mothra to fight Godzilla, and the editor's like, that's a stupid idea. Then I know, we'll ask Mothra to fight Godzilla, and they send a crew to Infant Island to get help. And also, why this is going on, I'll leave the Infant Island stuff for the next person, but I want to talk about this. We have a scene where the U.S. military agrees to help fight Godzilla, and they attack him on a beach with these new missiles called Frontier missiles, which don't do nothing. And this scene is exclusive to the American edit of the film. It's often been speculated that the reason this film was this cut out of the Japanese cut is because it showed American military firing on Japanese soil, and Ishiro Honda always stood by the only reason he cut that out is because of pacing. While I don't think it affects the pacing, I tend to lean more towards that's why, because if you look at a lot of Honda's themes, even though he does love his country, he believes that humanity as a whole has to come together for the better of the world. So even though, yeah, it's American military firing on Japanese soil, it does feel very Honda that, yeah, even the Americans would aid in this kind of crisis.
I mean, you're right. I feel the same way, but I can also understand why it was cut.
Yeah, like you can believe whichever one of those two options you want, but I tend to believe what Honda said is all.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sounds right.
that's mine. I'll leave the Infant Island scene to the next.
Do you want to take a geek, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I remember that scene. The one where you kept referring to the chief as the emperor. Yep. The older looking gent.
Yes.
And I think we looked it up at the time. I was wondering if the guy had been, the chief in other Godzilla movies.
Anthony, do you know?
I'm not sure, but Toho does reuse actors a lot, so
yeah, because like when I wiki the movie, he's one of the two names that doesn't pop up with a link.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other one is the gentleman who was doing the blessing on Mothra's over Mothra's egg earlier. The Kanushi.
yeah.
He's also the other guy that doesn't have a link, so he's probably not in any other movies.
I was going to add on to your point about the scene, and I really enjoy that scene. It's kind of like it feels kind of rare in Godzilla movies to see a chieftain in a sense.
Mm.
In natives and stuff. I mean, the last time we saw natives and stuff was in episode 7, where we talked about King Kong versus Godzilla. So, I mean, it kind of has natives and stuff in that. So
I enjoyed the scene because to me it cemented the idea that they started establishing in the original Godzilla 1, 2, 3 English in the original Mothra movie of Mothra being a revered being, because you saw the stuff about it in the original movie, and they expand each time Mothra shows up. They expand on it more and more and more. And I think they did a really good job of presenting Mothra as this this deity.
Yeah, yeah. So
Sorry.
I think we're on the scene where the Shobijin and they are captured by natives, so they reveal their intentions. I think we're on that.
Yeah.
And they're given this drink to cleanse their body of the radiation.
They ask their help for Mothra's help.
They were given some rat away.
I was gonna point out I liked one thing I liked also, and I think this is where one of they have Mothra's song used. If I'm correct, I really sorry. I was gonna say I really enjoy the song they used for Mothra. It's just like it's like a calm, cool, chill, collective, and it's like one of those songs. Mothra was made for this song.
And I believe it was written in Indonesian.
Interesting.
I don't know about that. I'll have to look that up.
But I know it wasn't Japanese, but I'm about 98% certain the songwriter actually did it in Indonesian just to give it more of an exotic flavor.
Okay.
They're initially turned down for help for not returning the egg.
Yeah.
And they get that impassionate, very Ishiro Honda speech that basically boils down to, are you going to let the good men die with the evil? We're all in this together, and if you abandon us, you abandon your brothers. And the Shobijin and Mothra hear it, and Mothra does agree to help.
But you are correct. The Mothra theme was written in Japanese and then translated into Indonesian.
Yeah, that's right.
What I'm reading here was done by an Indonesian exchange student. They don't give his name though.
Okay. Okay. Junko and Sakai plead that the innocent are also in danger. They have no right. Am I at the right point where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds about
right. Junko and Sakai plead that innocent are also in danger. They have no right to decide who deserves to live or die. Civilization is flawed, and they are trying hard to make the world better. Mothra agrees to help, but the Shobijin warned that she is on her deathbed. And it's kind of sad here that they make it seem like Mothra is dying, and it is sad. Mothra is kind of, to put it this way, Mothra to me has felt like a sad Godzilla character, because it's like you die and then you live again. It's like a phoenix in a sense to me, where
I just feel kind of sorry. Yeah,
rises, where a phoenix rises from the ashes always, and it will get reborn again. And that's just the sense I get with Mothra, and I like that about it.
I just think it's kind of sad / fucked up that every time Mothra dies, her babies have to watch her die, and sometimes she dies in like the most violently flaming ways you can think of.
Rebirth of Mothra 1.
Oh God, yeah. Didn't she just get straight up blown to pieces?
So that one, she like lands in the water and she's drowning as the baby's trying to hold her up.
Oh God, yeah, that one. Oh my God, that one. And you just see Mothra slowly floating underwater.
Yeah.
So back in Japan, the JSDF.
That was a kid movie.
Sorry, cut you off there.
I said that was a kid movie.
Back in Japan, the JSDF launches multiple campaigns against Godzilla, but to no avail. After losing her fortune, Kumiyama confronts Torihata at his hotel, attacks him, and steals the secret funds. Torihata shoots Kumiyama and attempts to escape with the money. He is crushed like big.
How crooked is that he was making him borrow his own money and then pay interest on his own money?
It's like Kumiyama got his kind of revenge because Godzilla just goes like that.
And I think that was the most violent Godzilla killing a single human moment in any movie till you got to Godzilla versus Ghidorah, and Godzilla just breath weapons that one dude fucking right point blank range in the building in the business in the skyscraper. You know the scene I'm talking about, where it's the former soldier who saw Godzilla before he was Godzilla.
One of the most misunderstood scenes in the entire franchise.
Anyways,
when we do that, when we review that movie, you're definitely going to have to be here so we can hear that.
Yeah, I would definitely want to talk about that scene.
Okay. Do you want to take over, Anthony?
Okay, so Godzilla shows up and he's drawn to the egg, and there is this worry Mothra won't help if the egg's destroyed, and Mothra comes in at the last moment and goes after Godzilla, and we just have a really, really well-made fight where it's just a lot of physicality. Mothra clawing at Godzilla, pulling Godzilla, getting him on the ground, grabbing him by the tail, and just the winds making it hard for Godzilla to stand. The winds are even blowing the egg around, but as we're told, Mothra's not in good health and she's literally dying, so this is literally the last of her strength, so Mothra can't fight a prolonged fight. She has to end it quick, and she's fighting it like it needs to end quick for what is essentially a guy in a suit and a giant
puppet.
Yeah, a giant puppet controlled by wires.
And that you have to give everybody who made that movie credit for making what amounts to a dude in a big rubber suit flailing at a puppet on strings, and make it one of the best monster fights in the 60s.
Yeah, there's a lot. This, for what it is, for all of that, this fight is surprisingly physical.
Yeah.
And just ferocious. It feels like two animals
going at each other,
going at it, but Mothra starts flapping this powder around, and the Shobijin explain it's Mothra's last weapon, and once she uses this up, she's going to die. And it doesn't work. Mothra flies over and just lands on her egg and dies, and Godzilla, instead of
exactly like this, what you're talking about, right?
And it's a great scene because she does have light in her eye, but you see that light fade away as she died. So for just such a simple effect, it conveyed the moment where the life left her body just so well. And after the fight, Godzilla just goes on and does his own thing, and where they think it's hopeless, the fairies say it's not all lost. The egg can be hatched today.
Yeah, and that part I'm like, wait, so the egg can hatch? So what? We're gonna put babies against Godzilla? I mean, he just killed their mother. What do you think the babies are gonna do? Surprisingly well, it turns out.
If you fight smarter, not harder.
I mean, realistically, there should have been no reason Godzilla couldn't squish those worms.
I was gonna say, do we know what kind of ability that is at the end with the powder and stuff? Does it have a name?
It's actually something, if you ever examine a moth, if you were to find one dead on the ground and pick it up, it's based on, they do have this real powder on their wings.
It's scales.
Yeah, and if those scales, powder, whatever you want to call it, if it like gets smudged or something, like that moth will lose its ability to fly. But it does have an effect on Godzilla. There's movies where it even kind of nerfs his atomic breath, but in this iteration, it's like it's the last line of defense. Once Mothra uses all of that up, she can't even fly anymore, so she's dead.
Which is funny is in any video game, Godzilla video game where you can play Mothra, if you use her ability to spread her pollen like that, that usually either does heavy damage to her or just outright kills her.
It's basically, okay, you're about to die already, so desperation time.
Yep.
Do you want to continue with the story? Or do you want me to?
Go for it.
No, I'm waiting for Anthony to respond.
You're right. My apologies.
What did you say, Anthony?
Go for it.
Okay. So as the JSDF resume their attack on Godzilla, the trio and the Shobijin remain with the egg as the twins attempt to make the egg hatch more quickly via musical incantations, which I believe it would be Mothra's song with the incantations. And like I said earlier, I think the song for Mothra is it's I love it. It's just it's cheerful. It's nothing bad. It's nothing dark. It's just a calm, peaceful, positive song, and it is meant for Mothra.
Not to change movies, but even though they took the lyrics out, when they use that music in King of the Monsters 2019, when Mothra emerged out of the waterfall, was that not like one of the most beautifully shot scenes in the entire franchise?
Oh hell yeah, that scene was fucking wonderful.
Oh, I'm not delayed. I was tearing up at that scene. It was so beautiful to look at.
Oh, Sarai.
Okay. On Infant Island, the natives join in the ritual dance in response to the twins' music. Twin larvae emerge from the egg and follow Godzilla to Iwa Island as the monsters battle. I like this part. The trio that gets trapped from boulders in the cave or whatever, they are saved, and it's a happy feeling because they are saved, and Godzilla's tail basically knocks the boulders, I would say, causes the boulders to fall. Okay. Godzilla, I love how Godzilla, the larva, I like how the larva get involved and they fight Godzilla. They're trying, in my sense, and this is just me, I don't know if this is you too also, but in my point of view of the scene, I'm just getting the feeling, I get a Pokemon reference when I see the larva also. I get like a
String shot.
Caterpie.
Caterpie uses string shot.
But I get more Caterpie.
Yeah. Because these things don't sting or nothing. They're just cute little silk vomiting worms.
And you know how they made that silk spray?
Go ahead.
It was like a liquefied polystyrene they would shoot out of an air nozzle. And this stuff apparently, like if it came into contact to your skin, it didn't feel good, and like it was even hard to clean up, like to get it off the Godzilla suit. Like they would have to use like I think either gasoline or kerosene to get it off, in addition to this polystyrene spray being highly flammable. So I can't imagine there was any smoking on set during those scenes.
I was going to add on to that. Is this not the movie where the Godzilla suit caught on fire?
Yeah, yes, it is. During the big fight scene where the military is blasting Godzilla, the suit just straight up catches on fire. Oh, I want to know what Haru Nakajima was thinking when that fucking
I
suit went up
believe
in
I
flames
believe
like that.
he actually sustained. I might be wrong on this part, but I believe he actually sustained second-degree burns during that scene. And
Oh, fuck.
if so, I got some over the summer, as you can see by the scar on my hand. That don't feel good.
I've gotten third-degree burns, so third-degree burns don't feel good, brother. So I can only imagine second-degree burns.
First degree, third degree, I heard like the moment you get them, they don't feel so bad, but it's when they start healing that it really kicks in.
I remember hurting like a bitch from the get go. What happened was I was making some apple cider, cooked it in the microwave, and cooked it to boiling. And as I was carrying it into the front room, I spilled it on my chest. The only reason the burn wasn't bigger was when I dropped it on my chest. My first reaction was to grab my shirt and yank it away from me.
Yes.
So instead of losing the majority of the flesh on my torso, I just lost the good portion of. I just burned a good portion of my chest.
Funny you mentioned the shirt. Mine, it was a grilling accident. Didn't have the right starter fluid, so I was using something else. I'm not gonna say what I was using, but the bottle exploded.
Okay.
My shirt caught on fire. I got
But
most of the burns on my arm, but instead of ripping my shirt off, I was doing this number trying to pat the fire out because this mysterious fluid does evaporate quick. So my first thought was if I pat it out, I'll be fine and I can save the shirt, but I wound up in the ER.
I was gonna get back to the movie.
yeah, no, sorry.
I like how Godzilla also got entrapped in the silk. It's like Godzilla's like this, trying to escape and stuff, but he's not going to escape. No. Well, sure, he would probably if he was a different version, but
And
I
it was
mean,
over.
this is a
And I
show up.
like this was another fight in the movie where you have a guy in a suit basically fighting two remote control robots. I think I don't know exactly how the worm puppets
No
work.
control of
And
it, like track and whatnot.
yeah, but still, they stuff you would not think would look good, but they somehow made it look really good.
And no, it's also the tactics they're using. One sprays the silk, the other hides. Then when Godzilla focuses on that one, the other one goes on the attack, and they just keep repeating. And another touch I love is how you have the Godzilla and Mothra themes battling in this scene, so it's not just the monsters, but their music's fighting it out as well.
I was gonna say I like how this left off a happy ending. The students and teacher they return to safety. The larvae and the Shobajin they return to Infant Island, and then one of the characters assess that humanity will thank them by building a better world. I like that ending. It left me happy. It left, I'm sure. Um, is there any Anthony? Do you have any thoughts on this movie, like a review score? Do you like?
Well, this is one of my top 4 favorites, so it's just a automatic 10 out of 10. I love the film from start to finish. I love the cinematography, the effects, how the music is done in this film. And I even love the themes like Shiro Honda, someone who's was in World War II, who has seen the horrible things his government did and seen the horrible things that happened to his country as a result, who doesn't put a lot of faith in government, whether it be his government or a foreign government, but he puts a lot of faith in regular people to make things better. And at the end of the day, it was the regular people that reached out to help ask Mothra for help. It was the regular people who went to the island to save the kids, and it's the regular people who make the real impact.
Common Rider Geek, your turn.
Uh, What more to talk about? The movie's over.
Review score and
Review score.
why you like it. That's
I
why
haven't even smoked yet, and I'm already forgetting shit we were just talking about. But for me, it's also a 10 out of a 10. I have a top 10 movie list because there's just too many Godzilla movies that I enjoy and grew up with. I mean, there's only one movie I really don't like, and I forget the exact title, but it's the one where the kid dreams he's hanging out with Minya, and
All
it's
Monsters Attack or Godzilla's Revenge.
yeah, that one. That's my exact feelings on it. I mean, I'm not a super fan of Son of Godzilla, but I'll tolerate Son of Godzilla even with all its issues.
At least you can appreciate the puppet work in Son of Godzilla.
Quack, quack.
my score is also a 10 out of 10. Oh wait. 10 out of 10. Like that. Sorry, I almost went into Amazon mode there for a second.
Amazon.
And this would also mark the last time we would see Godzilla as a true protagonist until the 80s.
Yeah, He and also where they started making him more of like a superhero kind of deal rather than a force of nature. Which I have to say personally, I like it when Godzilla is the problem and the other monsters just happen to be a bigger problem. Godzilla's not a hero in this; he's still a problem. He just happens to be the least of the problems when compared to say a 3-headed giant space monster that wants to take over the Earth's biosphere.
Mine too, like my analogy for how I like Godzilla. Imagine a major hurricane coming through a state with a raging wildfire. Can the rain from the hurricane extinguish the wildfire? Possibly, yes, but what damage is the hurricane going to do in the process?
I was going to point out the reason why I say it's a 10 out. The reason why I say it's a 10 out of 10 for me, it's my childhood. I got to see it on one of these old VHS tapes, and along with other movies like that maybe had kaiju and other stuff like King Kong, for example. But I mean, there's a lot of positive more than negative in this movie, and that's one of the reasons. I love Mothra. Mothra is so freaking amazing.
I would say, except for except for poor Haru Nakajima getting set on fire during that one scene, I don't think there was anything wrong with the movie personally.
You're right. I'm saying,
but
that.
I could be speaking with rose-colored tinted glasses after all.
He walked off being set on fire like it was nothing.
Most of the old dudes from back in that day like that did. Those guys were scary back then.
Anyway.
And also, was this not, in all of the Showa movies, was this not the most ferocious he ever looked?
Yeah. I was going to say, I liked the design of the Godzilla suit also. And this is like my earliest Godzilla memory I can remember watching. And yeah, I have a couple of little announcements on. So we at 100 subs, we will be doing our first ever giveaway.
Wait, are you saying we have 100 subs or when? We get to it? Oh, okay. Because I say, wait, last time you told me we only had 14. Where'd the other 86 come from?
Right now.
Okay, where'd the other 80 come from?
When we hit 100 subs, all guests and others will be. We're gonna do a giveaway for one of these. I would have to get it and reach off stream and get it, but we are giving away a DBZ lanyard, and it has different characters on it. Like one has Goku and others. I wanted to give back to the community. I know it's not Tokusatsu, but just a cool kind of little giveaway.
Yeah, but
Also,
in fairness, though, Toriyama did incorporate a lot of scenes with monsters that were clearly meant to be various iconic kaiju.
I mean, name a mangaka back in the 80s who didn't. I mean, just read Fist of the North Star and tell me how many times you see pro wrestlers.
also,
Or fucking Baki the Grappler. Jesus, that one's bad too.
I was going to add May 15th, which is not. So May 15th, we are doing our first ever anniversary show. Also, we're doing a Kaiju Bash show, if you want to call it that. I'm just working it out right now. I haven't put thought process, but it's like a birthday celebration for the channel, as the channel will be hitting 1 year old. Well, actually,
you said May 15th. 13 days after my birthday.
Yeah. Also, we are now connected with the Sci-Fi Society. So go check out these amazing channels. I will put in the description a link to the collection, so you can find us on there. You can find my other channel, Olvin. You can find this amazing creator over here on there as well, and others. And I want to ask Anthony Jordan, do you have anything coming up that people can check out and watch?
Well, I just uploaded my review the other day for Destroy All Monsters, and one we mentioned earlier, my next review is Godzilla's Revenge.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
I said I was re-reviewing all of them, so I gotta suffer.
And as
I'll keep you in my prayers, my brother.
do you have anything coming up, Kamen Rider Geek, on anything?
No, I'm still waiting for my house to finish getting fixed. But before I get back into streaming, though, I'm a few years behind on that one.
But he'll be streaming when he gets around to it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it'll just be like co-op video games with another buddy. Oh, he left.
He disconnected, probably.
But yeah, it'll just be like doing co-op streams with my buddies. I got a good buddy that honestly, if he wasn't down to do with it, I don't think I could do the channel, because the best part of those streams was just the bullshit me and him would just spew when we were fucking around.
Oh, sorry about that.
That was on my end. I don't know what happened.
Welcome back.
Anyways, like I was saying, we are part of the Sci-Fi Society, the Sci-Fi Society collection or collective. Or is that the channel, Anthony?
That's our group.
No, not the group.
Anubis does have the collective channel where it's kind of a.
That's what I was.
It's a conglomerate channel where
if you want to see all our content on there, the Sci-Fi Society Collective has a channel link. It has a playlist with Tokusatsu action, Thursday Night Titans. All the latest episodes are on there. The channel also has me and Anubis's awesome, fun weekend show, the Silver Screen Savants. Speaking of which, I forgot to go over my upcoming stuff, so let's segue to that now. So, on Saturday, the 22nd of February, we will be covering 1962's Jack the Giant Killer.
God, I haven't seen that in a dog's age.
And we will be filming that live. So you guys and others that are watching this recording are more than welcome to come hang out. It'll be on Olvin, my second channel, which is my main primary channel, with my amazing, awesome, freaking cool co-host, DJ Anubis of Metal Tavern Radio. But this has been Tokusatsu Action Thursday Night Titans, Episode 8, starring Kamen Rider Geek and special guest Anthony Jordan, Movies and Gaming. I will put a link in the description of this channel, of the video also, so you can go check out our amazing co-host. Until next time, Doron. Until next time, Doron, change your activate.